Have you ever shot par with a 7-iron? Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 204, and a very special episode it is. I am your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Before we get started with the movie discussion tonight, let's go around and meet the fellow bros, and we begin with our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie, I hate to put more on your plate, but a local Chipotle is trying to institute a lifetime ban on me for not wearing quote-unquote appropriate attire in their store last week. So what are our chances of winning this one?
Well, I think you can absolutely counterclaim and just shed a picture of the toilet in your house and say, look, we're even. We've damaged each other. Let's call it a day and move on and respect each other's decisions and get a burrito tomorrow. Just
send them the picture, hashtag bygones.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any issues with him being a repeat offender, though?
I mean, they repeat offend his intestines. It just goes both
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
We don't. I think one of my favorite things on Twitter is when people just say, I don't make the rules, which is, this is exact scenario of that.
Yeah.
That voice you just heard is the American hero, Nate Thurmond. Nate, I know your hometown is throwing its annual parade for you next weekend. I got to ask, how do you keep this shit from going straight to your head?
That's a great question, Horns, and I don't. I just soak it all in. I get as egotistical as possible. So to be honest, fair warning, I'm going to be pretty insufferable for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Well deserved. Anytime someone makes an ice sculpture out of your face, I think you're entitled to a little bit of self-absorption, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, well, guys, this is episode 204, and although it has been quite a while since we talked to you in any of our episodes, and the NCAA tournament itself has ended quite some time ago, it is still time, as is tradition, like the Masters, to conclude our Movie Madness tournament. As we do every year. And this year it was the Disney Channel Original Movie Madness Tournament. So we took the 8 best Disney Channel original movies of all time, had a random selection to pit them against each other, and they went into an 8-movie bracket against one another. And tonight we're going to sort it out. We have the final 4 and then the championship game of what is the best Disney Channel original movie of all time. The bracket will be linked at the top of the show notes here. As I pull it up, I will let you guys know what the scoring methodology is. So the way we did this, in each matchup, there were 3 points up for grabs. Obviously, whichever movie won 2 out of the 3 advances as the winner. And we thought it would be a good way to really divert who got to decide who the champion was by doing it this way. Number 1, we put up a Twitter poll for each of these matchups. So whatever Twitter voted as the better film, that gets 1 point. Next, we went to the internet ratings, where we looked at IMDb, Letterboxd, and Rotten Tomatoes, and whichever film had 2 out of the 3 higher ratings wins that point. We used the Rotten Tomatoes audience score. And then if needed, and spoiler alert, we're going to need it tonight, we go to the Bros ratings, where whichever movie gets 2 out of the 3 Bros stamps of approval as the better film, they advance. So the first matchup, and Nate Thurmond, I'll let you reveal to the audience how the scores look heading into tonight, was High School Musical, the original, versus Smart House. So before we get to if it's necessary for the Bros ratings, what were the other 2 points looking like as far as who is the favorite here?
So for this matchup, out of the Twitter vote, Smart House came out on top 60%. So they kind of claim
that's
that
quite
one.
a win, by the way.
Yeah,
60%
is pretty convincingly there. Going on to the internet ratings, IMDb Smart House has a high rating at 6.1 over High School Musical, which is a 5.5. So fairly tight race there in that one.
IMDb is, of course, out of 10.
Yes.
In case people don't know.
6.1 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10. Letterbox, and good thing that Horns mentioned this because the next one is out of 5. Letterbox Smart House, 2.7 out of 5, and High School Musical edging it out just a little bit by 3.2 out of 5. So
I'm shocked High School Musical has a Letterbox is notoriously not forgiving to not what's the euphemistic way of putting this, to not well-made films. So for High School Musical to have a 3.2 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really jumps up there, especially from the High School Musical rating on IMDb at a 5.5. So quite a change there. So tied going into the Rotten Tomatoes, and for Rotten Tomatoes, Smart House got a 53%, and another kind of surprising one right here, High School Musical coming at 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I think a lot of this nostalgia with people, the audience score, people voting on that to get such a high rating. So
A bloodbath on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's just call it how it is.
really is. So in conclusion, they split. So it's going to come down to us at this point.
Wow.
An interesting point I want to make really quickly, and I don't know if you guys have brought it before during the DCOM, March Madness, or any of the others, but the IMDb versus Letterboxd is really interesting because IMDb has been around since the mid 2000s. Jeff and I were on this. We would talk in high school, college. They went back when they had message boards and participate in that.
Dude, I missed the message boards.
I miss the message boards. But what's crazy is these IMDb votes, right? These ratings are almost 20 years old. I mean, they've been aggregate forever. Letterboxd is new, right? Like, and I wonder how much of Letterboxd is, because we're talking about the discrepancy here. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I think Letterboxd is probably a lot of the people on there look back in their certain age group and nostalgia with High School Musical, versus IMDb has been like, I mean, there's so many years that are going into it. So people aren't revisiting IMDb. Once you've voted, you're done, right? If I voted once in 2007. So it's something to to look at. It's just because that is a big difference.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Like, how many fucking nerds are like, well, now that Letterboxd exists, I need to go back and re-score all the movies I voted on IMDb. Like, no one is doing that.
Just people voting now, like in the younger generation for the first time. So,
which again, it's not apples to apples, like you said, because there's that generational gap. Interesting perspective there, Cycling. All right, because you made such a good point, Ronnie, I will give you the first vote for the Bros rating. Just straight up, whatever criteria you want to use, High School Musical or Smart House, to get your point.
I hate to. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, right? Like, I don't want to vote in this way, but I'm going to. There is a certain age factor that I have to take into account in where I was when the two movies came out. And it's very much, I think, how a lot of people feel about Disney Channel or Nickelodeon in general when we're in our youth. Our 6th to 8th grade years, you actually really enjoy the shows. Even Stevens, right? Like, I fucking love that show. And any show that came after it, I'm like, man, they're dropping in quality. But literally, I think, like, I'm sure even Stevens, to someone older, felt the same way than what had previously been there. High School Musical was just a little after my time, right? Like, I could kind of moved on from Disney. But when Smart House came on, for me personally, it was a major deal. I don't know if you guys remember how big of a deal Smart House was when they.
It was one of those DComs that I remember like vividly. Like, okay, this Friday night, and you can call this pathetic because it is like no plans because we got to watch.
They were setting it up for months, like being like, oh my gosh, we have one of the greatest movies now. I think for me, I struggle with that. I love Kate Sagal from Futurama and Married with Children as the voice and as the the human version of the house.
She does a good job of playing like that darker persona of it for sure.
So I just think I'm gonna have to lean on Smart House. Now, it does have one of the most cheesy scenes in all Disney Channel original movies ever.
Party.
That dance scene, the party. Oh my god, I just cringe the whole time. I can't watch it. But for me, I think I just missed the boat on the High School Musical. I did watch it, I did enjoy it, but it didn't hit me the same way it hit, maybe some of you and those listening.
All right, so Smart House gets Cycly's vote. Nate, we'll turn it over to you.
It's kind of kismet how it's set up this way, just to come down to horns. Just FYI, looking into the future here. We didn't plan this, but no, I'm gonna have to go High School Musical on this one. When it came out, when it came out, it was great. I mean, looking back on it, it's pretty cheesy and all that. But just looking at what this movie did for some careers, and it launched a ton of careers, made some very popular movie stars going into the future. And it launched into other movies. It launched into a TV show, which had a good first season.
Yes, we
can't say much
about
the
season.
I can't say much about the second season. But just culturally, I think we're going to have to vote for High School Musical on this one, just because of what it did overall and the bigger impact it had. And in Disney and everything else and launching careers, like I said. So I'm going to give it the nod on this one just for cultural impact.
Oh man, I was hoping it
know.
wouldn't come down to me, because I'm torn between what Cycly was talking about, because I vividly remember like this was a landmark event for the Disney Channel, and I don't think that's hyperbolic to say when Smart House came out. Like it was one thing you got to say the Disney Channel did was they were really really good at promoting their original content. Like when Smart House came out, when the famous Jet Jackson movie came out, when Johnny Tsunami came out, like as a kid, and I was pretty plugged in, but I always fucking knew like the exact date that these things were dropping. And Smart House was one of those things that was appointment television. Now, having said that, as fun as it was and the anticipation as great as it was, and maybe this is not the best way to judge it, but on a rewatch, Smart House is really fucking bad.
Yeah, I watched it in like the past year, and it's so
I do
unwatchable.
agree with that.
It's bad. Now, conceptually at the time, it was pretty fucking cool. Like it was, you were like, oh, dude, this, and we're not too far away from that stuff like actually existing. I mean, we obviously have like Alexa and Siri and those things like that. But I think High School Musical for me, I love the songs. The third one I think is a better movie, but the first one culturally again had a pretty big impact. It created Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens as you can debate whether they're viable stars, but they've had pretty, in terms of longevity, solid careers in Hollywood. Yeah. And I think for me, it was one of those films where I think it worked on two levels. It worked on sort of the tongue in cheek, like, okay, we kind of know what we're making here, but it also was like, God damn it, this is a fun time too. And this is, we talk about Smart House is not really lagging too far behind here, but the spirit of what a Disney Channel original movie is, which is campy, but also enjoyable and has enough care put into it that it's still like a quality production. High School Musical to me checks all those boxes. So I'm gonna give it my vote here.
Hell yeah.
Guys are gonna upset our listening base, man. Hey, I was just trying to be of the people. They voted 60% for Smart House.
So you admitted you're a sellout.
Oh, you're just trying to vote Smart House.
I went to law school. Of course, I'm a sellout.
That's true. That's true.
Literally, you're just trying to make sure you get on the bot side, the AI side, so they don't.
That's the way things are going. Absolutely.
When the robot takeover happens, Cycle will be the one they're like carrying above their heads.
I voted for Smart House.
Guys, come on.
You are our leader. Our king voted for Smart House.
Hey, someone listening, go up to Chat GPT and type in what's a better movie, Smart House or High School Musical. See what Chat GPT.
Can't wait to hear back on that.
Wow.
All right, next. All right, so High School Musical advances. Next up, we have Johnny Tsunami versus Brink in the other semifinals. Cycly, do you have the sheet pulled up?
I do.
All right, let us know where this one settles before, if we need to get involved.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one, guys. It's Twitter vote went 53.3% for Johnny Tsunami.
Wow, close as hell.
I mean, that is pretty tight. It could be the difference between 2 or 3 votes right on Twitter. So that went down to the wire. So Johnny Tsunami took that. Now let's go on to the internet ratings. Things get a little more interesting here. Johnny Tsunami with 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Brink edging it out slightly with a 6.9 out of 10.
Giggity.
Good votes there. That's a close one, guys. Another close one here on Letterboxd. 2.7 out of 5 for Johnny Tsunami.
Incredibly high for
Brink,
Letterboxd.
3.0.
Jesus.
So again, just edging it out on this other side. And Rotten Tomatoes, a little bit clearer here. Johnny Tsunami with 62%. But Brink was 75. That's a solid,
higher than High School
tomato.
Musical.
That's certified fresh, guys.
Wow.
So there you go. You had 3-0 sweep in the internet ratings for Brink. So yeah, it looks like we have a 1-1, and we are in the same predicament, guys. We're gonna have to settle it here. Brink versus Johnny Tsunami.
I am not surprised that both of these have very high internet ratings. Like both of them, if they weren't facing each other, would probably win against almost any other movie in this competition in the bracket. I feel like.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, let's go to you first. Since we're the tiebreaker here, Brink or Johnny Tsunami? Where are you leaning?
Whew, man, this is a tough one.
I don't like this.
Both these were right in my wheelhouse. I know Johnny Tsunami was snowboarding, but I skied a ton growing up, so love that aspect of it. didn't like the skiers, like the snobs or everything. That was not like upper class by any means, but that was a great one. I love that one so much. And then Brink was, like I said, right around the same wheelhouse, like an extreme sport kind of thing. So this is a really tight one for me.
This is tough.
But I think I'm gonna have to go with Brink on this one.
Wow.
I
I thought
know.
you were going to go the other way.
Like it.
Same.
I think this is what spurred. I got, like, after seeing this movie, got some inline skates. I
Dude.
built I legit, like, me and my dad built a little ramp. I had it at, like, the end of my driveway.
Fuck yeah.
Would jump off of it. Had, like, my bike I would take off, and it was a big impact on, like, ages probably like 9 to 13 or something, because I was like skating all the time, and
I rollerbladed a lot around that same time.
Yeah,
it was the thing to do.
I was never any good at it, like go grinding off rails or anything. I tried a couple, but nothing really came of it. But it had a huge impact, and it led to a ton of my free time being taken up by skating and like biking and stuff like that in like my youth. So gonna have to give it to Brink on this one. It's a tough one. It's tight though. It's close.
I know. It's like choosing, again, like your favorite child, and you should pick the one that's better at sports. I'll go second just because I am going to be different here, and this is a difficult decision again. But
God damn it,
I gotta go.
Yes.
Tsunami. And again, on a rewatch, Cycly and I, along with my cousin Michael Monty, just did a movie commentary on Brink. So go check that out, because we had a fucking blast revisiting this film. But I think Johnny Tsunami, not many Disney Channel original movies. A lot of them like cater to sports, but I would, and again, I probably need to rewatch all of them. But if you go between like 13th Year, Alley Cat Strike, Brink, and Johnny Tsunami, I feel like Johnny Tsunami might be almost the most grounded in reality. Like it could very much happen. Military kid moves from Hawaii to, I can't remember if they're in Vermont or where they're at, but
somewhere northeast. Yeah.
Not that is necessarily like the best recipe for a DCOM, right? Like we love them being, a little bit far-fetched at times. But when you watch it, like socially, everything in it, like there's some lampoonish characters, but it's pretty fucking close to like shit you would actually be dealing with at the time in middle school and early high school. Yeah. And if we're again, the recipe to DCOMs, guys, is give us the actors that we know and love, and you get I can't remember the name of the character who plays Jeff Jackson, but him and Kirsten Storm from Xenon. Yeah. I mean, that is like your dream cast as a 13-year-old for who would be in a DCOM. So I gotta go Johnny Tsunami, but that is not an indictment on Brink. You guys know I love Brink. It is in my top 250 of movies. It's great, but Johnny Tsunami, I have to give the edge to here. Cycly, you're the tiebreaker.
This is a position I'd never wanted to be in life, honestly.
And that I wanted to put you in.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of things in life I feel uncomfortable in. And I think this is number one. These two movies.
You've had a good life then.
There's things I've imagined, but this is worse. Okay, here's my dilemma, and I think you guys are all feeling this. And I think Brink, when it came out, was consensus. Like, this is peak Disney Channel original movie. Like you guys talked about, it made you want to get into skating. It made you want to be like Brink or his friends. The idea of like that was probably the introduction to like posers, doing point. Something for soul skaters, like to us in probably 6th grade, whenever this came out, like doing it for what you love, not because you're getting paid to do. Johnny Tsunami, what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, came after.
Yeah,
is that
I think
okay?
So. I'll double check while you talk.
Check it, because I could have this wrong, but I feel like Johnny Tsunami didn't have, and maybe because of Brink and a few other movies that came before it, set the standard. Like it was almost revolutionary when like Brink came out. It was almost my point on Smart House. It was just such a big changer. Whereas when Johnny Tsunami came around, it wasn't as like just influential.
Brink 98, Johnny Tsunami 99, by the way.
99. Okay. So it felt like a lot of what I felt was that Johnny Tsunami was change sport, have family issues and drama and reinsert, right? Like it was mimicking the success of Brink, but I mean, we all know that's how Disney works anyway. So I'm not acting like, that was a problem. But I think in that context, I will say this really quickly. Right now, I think Johnny Tsunami's better as an adult. It's more emotional. The relationship with the grandfather, the relationship, the struggles with his father, the emotions that go into it. Jeff is right. It is more grounded. But I'm not voting.
Which again doesn't make it better.
I'm just saying, guys, these movies weren't made for me in my 30s. I'm gonna vote on how this was when I watched this. Who was the intended audience? And there is no doubt, gun to my head, Brink was the Disney Channel original movie. That was it.
Yeah.
And anyone says Disney Channel original movie, first one, Brink. So that's what I'm gonna go with, guys. Brink.
I respect that. This was not made for us in our 30s. That is very fair.
Love it.
All right. Well, with that point, Brink advances to the championship round. High School Musical versus Brink. Guys, we don't have time for the internet vote. It's just coming down to us fucking idiots. Best 2 out of 3 wins. We'll just do a round robin. Cycling, we'll go back to you first. Check up. Brink or High School Musical? After what you just said about Brink, I mean, how can you not vote for it?
It is. I'm just going to get right to it, guys. It's Brink. The reason why I said why I didn't go High School Musical earlier, not because I don't think High School Musical is great, but why I kind of went with Smart House. Again, both revolutionary movies in the Disney Channel original movie era. Brink set the standard. Brink set the tone. You can argue that like literally set off and allowed for High School Musical to happen. I just think Brink, literally, when you think about when we were in middle school, and if you say something right now to someone who is of our age or of our generation, and you say Disney Channel original movie, they're gonna say Brink. Maybe 5 years younger, 10 years younger, they'll say High School Musical. But again, what came first? What set the path? And so I don't need to reiterate. I know we've spent enough time on this, so I'm just gonna say it. I'm going with Brink is the greatest Disney Channel original movie of all time, and I'm sticking with that.
Yep. Brink up 1-0. Nate, to you. Brink or High School Musical?
Man, this is a tough one. And it's tough because one of the things I touched on High School Musical is the cultural revelation that High School Musical was. And
dude, that shit was all over Walmart. It was like on lunchboxes, posters. It was everywhere.
How impactful that was. But something I didn't mention in the semis, just, I wanted this in my back pocket. Brink had a very big cultural impact as well, in my opinion. I don't know if there's anything documented about it. But
should be.
I really think this launched like the popularity of like the X Games. The X Games had just started.
Wow, great point.
In the 90s. This comes out a couple years after the X Games start. And the X Games just blow up. They have the Summer X Games, they have the Winter X Games. And like that was anything any teenage boy was watching during the summer whenever that was coming out. Tony Hawk was coming out. Getting into popularity at that time, obviously skateboarding versus rollerblading. But I think this had a huge impact on that too, and just propelled us into the next stratosphere. So both of these had huge cultural impacts. And I think that is a huge testament to any DCOM if they can do that. And I'm going to have to lean towards the one that had a deeper impact really on my life, which was Brink. It like actually made me go out and do stuff, made me go out and be active in certain ways as far as skateboarding, extreme sports and like that. It didn't like last a long time, but like in my youth when it was happening, I like went out and like wanted to do that shit. So yeah, I'm going to have to edge it out to Brink on this one.
Fucking go.
Yeah,
I think that Efron, you piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Whoa, he listens to this podcast. I totally agree with everything you said. And like High School Musical did have a big impact because I think there might be something before, but after High School Musical, there was like a solid string of DCOMs that were musicals, and it was largely in part to the success of that. But yeah, if we're talking, I think Cycly said it best. If someone says to you, just DCOM, Disney Channel original movie, in my head, Brink is what immediately pops up. And if I see anyone at a bar with a Team X-Blade jersey on, I buy them a beer just as a principal thing. So
your tab is on me tonight.
Exactly. But no food from the kitchen. Come on, man. The chicken fingers are like $14.
Just drinks.
Right. But yeah, Brink, I got to go with Brink here again. Clean sweep 3-0. Not to poo-poo High School Musical because I do appreciate what it did. And I especially like the first and third ones. Not a big fan of the second one, but it does have some bangers. And it has a special place in the DCOM pantheon, but you're going to have to be the bridesmaid here because Brink is. We can't do this tournament in my mind. And again, we left it up to the fans and the internet as well. But and not have Brink come out on top. I think that's to me is poetic justice.
Yeah,
in a lot of
this
ways.
is right. This feels right, and I think that our fans will agree.
Yeah. All right, so Brink with a sweep in the championship game edges out High School Musical 3-0. So I think we got.
The
I think
championship was Johnny Tsunami. Brink, guys. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say what the people are thinking. That was the true championship.
My guy's not wrong. All right, the bracket you will see linked in the description of this episode will actually be updated. So I guess I shouldn't have told you to click on it earlier because it would have had the spoilers. But congratulations to Brink. We'll let you guys know when the celebration parade will be because we'll be there and we will be drunk. All right, we're going to do an abbreviated version of our protein shake today. I think each bro just wants to share one thing that we watched each, if that's okay with everybody.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So how about our protein shake, if you haven't listened to us before, it's where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Nate, let's toss it to you first. What do you want to discuss that you've seen recently?
Let's see. I'm going to go with something that's kind of underrated. You don't hear many people talk about it, so I want to raise awareness for it, obviously. And it actually, I watched
rabies, right?
Rabies. That's what it is. I'm actually organizing a fun run. So
who of you knows someone who is affected or afflicted with rabies?
Yeah.
Wow, everyone here.
Almost everyone here. So we'll get to that later. But watch the first season. Came out 3 years ago, maybe. Second season came out. Just now getting around to watching it. Just finished it this last week. But Upload, an Amazon Prime series.
Is this one of the Amels is in this? Robbie or Steven? I don't know which one.
Yes, I believe you're correct. Yeah, Robbie Amell plays the main character, Nathan.
Who plays briefly Scooby in How I Met Your Mother. I know Cycly will know.
Ah, yeah, Scoobs.
Yeah. So other than him, there's not too many big names in this. Maybe that's why it's not getting a lot of pub.
Is it a dramedy or more like a darker comedy?
I would say, at base value, I would call it a comedy. Yeah, it's just a comedy with some, I wouldn't say darker, but more serious tones and themes throughout the series. But a brief synopsis of it is it's however many years in the future, but now we have the ability, once people die, to upload their consciousness into a virtual world so they can keep living on. Mainly reserved for the rich people because it costs a lot of money to do that. But there's a ton of other plot lines that play.
See, this doesn't sound funny.
I know. No, it could have gone in either genre for sure.
This could be Black Mirror easily, and I think it is actually an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah. There's a lot of correlations and a lot of things have been written or made about this. This one's a little different from some other things I've seen, but really great. Just finished the second season, left off at a good place for season 3. But the other thing that is kind of crazy, like you don't hear many people talking about this. Neither one of you have seen this, have you?
No, I haven't.
No.
But I remember when the trailers came out for season 1, and correct me if I'm wrong, was there a pretty big gap between season 1 and 2?
Yeah, I think COVID happened, and
okay.
I think that was the main contributor for that. But creator Greg Daniels.
So, no way.
Yeah, you got a comedic genius.
How does
really
this guy find the time?
Yeah, Jesus. Really great producer behind this. So hopefully that's a testament to anyone out there who hasn't watched this yet to go give this a shot. Like I said, it's really great, really funny. There's a lot of like AI in it, and like they're in like basically a resort. The people who are dead and upload their consciousness, and they have this funny butler who goes around and he can multiply himself and whatever. But but really good. Into season 2 kind of gets into another plot thread of maybe a political aspect. It's nothing like crazy shocking or would like offend people, I don't think. But that's kind of where they left off. But yeah, really good underrated series. I think people need to go watch.
Funny how we totally unintentionally led in with an Office reference.
Yeah. Bingo.
We don't even plan this stuff. All right, Upload. I will definitely have to check that one out.
Yep.
All right, Cycling, we got a lot that we share. We'll have to talk about most of this next episode, which will
Yeah.
a little teaser there. But what do you want to discuss tonight?
How about you tell me, what are you wanting to talk about? Just give me a hint. Give me a little, just so a little sneak peek.
It's Morphin time.
Okay. So what I'm going to go with then.
It wasn't even a hint. That was pretty fucking.
That was very obvious.
Sorry.
I know you and I want to talk about. Okay, I'm just going to say you and I need to talk about Bikini Hackers. We're not going to talk. That's not what I'm choosing right now.
I'm tempted to almost do like a whole episode where we talk about that. But
Wow.
So I have a lot to talk about on here. We haven't talked about Mario. I think a couple of us have seen John Wick 4, Bikini Hackers, which you and I are going to break down. A movie that I loved recently.
Said no one ever. We're gonna break down Bikini Hackers. Like, I saw it. What?
We give the people what they want. I really want to talk about. I know because you watched it last night, and this movie is all over Reddit. Is consistently talked about in just the most heartwarming, gut wrenching films.
Heartwarming?
Did I say heartwarming? I meant gut.
You did. Yeah, like
sorry,
my
not
heart out of
not
my
heartwarming
chest.
at all. Sorry, I meant the opposite of heartwarming. Gut wrenching. It's something I saw all the time on Reddit, right? It's a movie that, like, when you reference what is the worst movie you've struggled at, you've cried at, what is something that has broken you down, what's the hardest movie you've ever watched, and it's always mentioned in so many Reddit threads. It's this anime from 1988. What is it? Do you know, Jeff? It's called Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. Let me double check. It's either 88 or 89. And I did just watch it.
Could be early 90s, but I had seen this so many times on how many people commented on Reddit saying this movie wrecked me. It just destroyed me. And I remember Googling it once, and I'm like, oh, it's an anime. How interesting. I was finally, after the 100th time of seeing it on a Reddit thread, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to watch this. I rented it for like $2 on Apple TV. Funny enough, it wasn't on Amazon. And I texted Jeff about it because we had talked about the Reddit. We had both seen it in Reddit.
Yeah.
And it's a very
Sorry, real
movie.
quick. 1988 film plot synopsis is a young boy and his little sister struggle to survive in Japan during World War II.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is an anime. So.
It is an anime, so it's a very short film, right? Like it's hour 20, maybe 25 minutes.
Not even,
and I'm not going to give anything away. I do recommend it to anyone listening. I don't want to tell you, obviously, what happens, but it is a true story. Very much the director and writer was the basis. His little sister, that was the story that he developed. They grew up. He was 12 years old when some fire bombings happened by the Americans in World War II in Japan. His mother does not survive. And so basically the movie is him and his little sister trying to survive. And him trying to distract his little sister with stories and imagination and all sorts of ways to just make her happy and keep her not aware of what is going on around.
Right.
And what's crazy about the film to me is they actually open with a spoiler. They actually show what happens. And I ended up
he verbatim says what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
And the director literally said
kind of forget
he did that on
it.
Yeah. The director did it on purpose. He said if he had put that the first 2 minutes at the end where it belongs, people would have just couldn't have handled it, which I agree with, actually. By him putting in the beginning
with no context,
with no context, you kind of, like, when you get to the end, you kind of know it and you're shattered, but it doesn't hit as hard. He literally said he did that on purpose to just let the audience off a little bit, to not hurt us as much. I actually rewatched the first 2 minutes after finishing the film. Jeff, I don't know if you did, just to rehash, and it actually broke me harder when you realize what happened in that scene. How the cleaning crew in the subway treat the can. That doesn't give anything away unless you know it. Like, and what the significance of it.
Yeah.
And it just, I texted Jeff after it. It's one of those movies that, like, I sat there, like, I was like cleaning dishes, I was cooking dinner that night, and I just felt like I had a pit in my stomach. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful film. I've never really watched anime. But
they're not all this good. Trust me. I've watched them. Don't
I-
expect this every time you.
Yeah, but I recommend it, man. It's one of those movies that I don't want to watch again. I mean, maybe one day I will, but like it hit hard. It did everything it needed to do. The horrors of war, the responsibilities to a 12-year-old, which should never have fallen to him. You can say he made mistakes, and he did. That's the point of the movie. He talked about it, but the 12-year-old should have never been handed that kind of responsibility. So yeah, if you want to give I know you watched it yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to know what you felt.
Yeah, I think emotionally, I'm right there with you. It is beautifully made. The score is incredible, man. Like, that's one of the things that is really poignant and like pulls a lot of the emotion out of it. And it's a movie that is in my top 300 after I watched it. But like you said, I think because it's so effective at getting its message across, I don't know if and when I'll be able to watch it again, because it was. And you had prepared me for it. You were like, it's gonna be gut wrenching, and it is. And I mean, just war is horrible, and the toll that it takes on people. Not that this is like some like, okay, no shit, Horns, war sucks, like people die and it's awful. But this movie, to take such a micro approach and look at like just this one boy and his little sister and how they're affected by World War II and all the struggles of it, and they still somehow find a way to like extract joy out of every single day, and the minutia of just like being alive and having each other and like finding something to laugh at and be happy about. But I obviously won't spoil anything. If you haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, I want you to go watch it. But at the end of the movie, there is just not much that you have to be happy about. And again, that's the intent of the film. But God damn it. It's a victim of almost being too good at what it's doing, to where it's like, I wrote in my Letterboxd review, I was like, this movie did everything it wanted to do, and as a result, I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch it again.
No, it just ends too. Like there's no closure. There's no like this was a sad story. Like I've watched plenty of like World War II movies, Holocaust movies that like there's like some symbol of hope. This movie just really just punches you in the gut and says, "See you later," and it is a beautiful film. I'm glad you mentioned the score. The animation holds up.
The animation's great. Yeah.
The animation could be it's just come out right now. And Nate, I don't know if you've ever even heard of this, but I think it's something you would really enjoy too.
Well, if you ever want to bawl your fucking eyes out, and
it's a film that everyone should see. I do believe.
I've added it to my queue. I'm looking it up right now.
Your wife is gonna lose it when you watch this.
Probably, I would imagine.
Yeah, but now every time I understand all the Reddit references. Like everyone's like, best film I'm never watching again. Just cry.
That's a good. It's at the top of that list. Best film I'm never watching again.
Yeah, I get it. I've seen those.
Oh boy. Well, I do have to say this.
How do you follow that with Power Rangers?
Well, this is the only podcast you'll listen to about movies that will go from Grave of the Fireflies to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once in
welcome.
Hell yeah.
Which, before I dive into that, two things that are on my list that I'm not going to talk about, but I want to reference because we have a review up for one of these and then a movie commentary that I want people to check out. First off, I'll go with the review. If you haven't seen it, finish it and then check it out. But The Mandalorian Season 3, which Nate and Brian Banner were on all the reviews for, go check out our reviews of all the episodes and then the finale. We're huge fans, so fucking excited about where this is going. So check that out. Very, very pleased with. This is one of those things with Star Wars that the last half decade has just been so consistent and awesome that it's like comfort food for us. So check that out. Also, a movie commentary that just dropped. I mean, as we're recording this a week ago, but it might have been a week and a half by the time you listen to it. Godzilla Raids Again from 1955. Cycly, you were on it. It's on HBO Max. What would you tease for the fans to go watch this black and white epic with us?
I think Godzilla was a victim in this one, guys. I'm going to be honest. I want you to watch it and give us your opinion.
I agree.
He was just minding his own business.
He's literally just trying to fucking chill out on an island, and he can't even do that. All right, so check out that commentary. It's on audio-only podcasts and YouTube. But all right, what I really want to talk about, and Cycly we got to do a rare instance of this in person and watch it together. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, the reunions, I guess, special. I think I logged it as a movie on Letterboxd, but it's like 50 minutes, so that kind of feels, gross. But Cycly, this was the reunion. David Yost and I can't remember the actor's name, who from Brink, who played Zach, was in it as well. Basically bringing back the OG Power Rangers. What did you think about it before I give you my opinion? Because we watched it together and we were very excited for this. I mean, again, nostalgia porn it could be, but like this was an era that this is very impactful, at least on my youth, the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
So
I'll just quickly say, I'll leave this to you, but I love that they didn't try to make it more serious, make it a little darker, make it good. I'm not meaning that in
And
a
make
bad
it
way.
good.
I'm
Whoops.
they didn't. They made it like Power Rangers, is what I'm trying to say.
I
They
get
made it like you're watching the Power Rangers in 1993
Yeah.
or 1994. That like they didn't try to do like, oh, Christopher Nolan's gonna reimagine Batman, right? Like we got a reimagining of Power Rangers 5 years ago. It didn't work. Like I'm not saying that it wasn't good. I just like what they knew what they were. They went campy. They went corny. The fight scenes were the same. So as a childhood fan, like that's what I needed. Was this going to win an Oscar? No, absolutely fucking not. But this was literally Power Rangers like they had filmed it the next day in 1994. So
That's awesome.
I enjoyed it, guys. It's 50 minutes. I know Banner's not here, but I know it felt the same way. But Jeff, this is your moment, so let's hear what you had to say.
I mean, I totally agree. Like, I would not change anything about this. Don't make it more competently made. I actually feel like, because you and I don't remember the exact line that our wives were like quoting the rest of the day, but there's a scene where it definitely feels like it's dialogue driven. And I'm like, I guarantee you there was a scene that was better acted that the director was like, no. I need it done shittier for Power Rangers. But this is a slice of life from me as a 5 to 8 year old. It's, I think, so well done for that audience. You give me one of these every 5 years, and I'll be very, very happy. And I actually think I'm going to watch it again, and I'd be so down to do a commentary with you on it.
Oh, we definitely need to.
Great
Jeff,
action.
Give your favorite line.
That's the one that I can't remember. It's grammatically incorrect, but I wouldn't change it for the world. The Rocky line. Do you remember it?
Yes. The Rita Repulsa is, of course, on the moon, guys. If you've ever watched Power Rangers, that's where her base is. And they're like, "Hey, Rita's on the moon. Why don't we go fight her there?" And he goes, well, the guy's trying to say it. He goes, "Why not? Let's go there."
And I remember when I heard it, I was like, "We need a comma somewhere."
We literally rewound it like 4 times.
4 times. It's not hyperbolic.
Why not? Let's go there.
Why not? Let's go there. It's like, why?
The way Jeff inflicted it, his infliction was dead on. That's exactly how the line was delivered. Why not? Let's go there.
I want to go.
I don't know
what
that means.
That's what it was, Nate. It reminded me of "I want to go to there." It's the way he said it.
That's funny.
It's like when Ron Burgundy's reading the teleprompter. If you don't put a comma where there needs to be one, that's how we're going to get the line delivered in the show.
I'm Ron Burgundy. God damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter?
He'll read whatever's on there. But it's great.
Let's go there. Why don't we go there?
Why not, comma, let's go there. But again, if you're a fan of the originals, you have to watch this. You absolutely have to watch it. So fun. I'm so glad Netflix did this. Thank you. Again, I don't think let's not overexpose this. Like, let's do one like every 3 or 4 years, but I think it would be great. Like, maybe the next one we can get Amy Jo Johnson to come back, you know?
God.
Which would be cool.
First love of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Banner's not here to do the bird noise, but that brings us to the end, which is our Do You Even Lift Bruh segment. We're going to close out with the Bros Top 100 Movies of All Time list, which we've been counting down for about the past year. So Nate's going to do 2 movies today. Before we dive into that, Cycly, would you mind explaining to people at home what these lists are? Because as we've been counting down our top 100 movies of all time, which you can find linked in the description of this episode, this is not the AFI, like the Film Institute's top 100 movies. This is a little more unique to the Bros, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can't. First of all, can I just say, how are we almost to the halfway point? I don't know if it's been a long time or that. I don't know. For me, I feel like it is going by fast.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But it is our individual top 100, guys. There's no explanation needed. There's no reason to defend yourself. It can be movies that you think are Academy Award winners. It can be movies that you watched drunk one night and you cracked up all night long, and it might be stupid. But it's what movies that hit you, movies that meant something to you. Your top 100, no one else's.
Yep. All right, so as we look at the list, and again, if you're looking at the spreadsheet that I've linked in the description, you'll see this, but Nate is going to do his number 56 and number 55 movies of all time. Just to catch you up, Nate's number 57 was The Grand Budapest Hotel, and his number 56, just to give you a little bit of a I guess, balancing point here, paired up with the other bros. Geiger's was A Time to Kill. Cycles was the original Toy Story.
Nice.
Banner's was Avengers Endgame, and then mine was Dodgeball. So, Nate, what is your number 56 just ranking ahead of the Grand Budapest Hotel?
My number 56 is a historical movie. I love a good historical movie, especially if it ties into war or anything like that. But this is another one. I think it gets its right pub in society, but I don't think it gets as much as it should deserve. But it's the 2014 film The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley. Really love this one. I just love the premise behind it, and I feel like I've said cultural impact a lot this pod, but like the cultural impact behind the actual storyline of this story. And so for
dude, I'm a history teacher, and I reference this at least once a year to my students.
Yeah.
It's like this actual story.
And for those who don't know it, Benedict Cumberbatch plays Alan Turing in this, and he was very integral to solving the Enigma code in World War II, which was the German code that they sent out over airwaves or radio or whatever it was. But he basically built the beginnings of what computers are built off today. And it was a huge machine that was turning and spinning and trying to break down the code. And it was like, I think another reason I like this is because I like crypto quotes. I like crossword puzzles and things like that. And it kind of gives me that aspect. He's trying to solve this huge problem. So that's kind of the premise and the historical geeky reason behind why I like it. But it's just well acted. I love the World War II aspect of it. Keira Knightley and him have a very close relationship in it. There's a little bit of a love story in there. I'll say love story in quotations for those who have seen it.
No spoilers.
If you still want to see it, then you can go out and see. And if you know anything about Alan Turing, then that may give you some hints into that as well. But yeah, overall, just really great. It has some really big societal impacts too, as far as Alan Turing's life and what happened later on down the road, even after his death. So it's really impactful that way too. I just recently watched this again past 5 or 6 months. It's just all around really great film.
It's kind of a sad ending, very sad ending.
Yeah.
But like, what do you want the director and writer to do? Like, that's what fucking happened in real life. It's like,
and that's why I like these real life stories sometimes. I mean, that's the way it ends. That's what happened. They're not fabricating anything. And then it makes you feel a certain way. And it's kind of amazing because that's what happened. There's not someone making up a storyline in their head, real life shit. So
great inclusion. All right. Number 55 to close us out, just as a barometer here. Geiger has his number 55 movie is 61, the movie about Roger Maris. Cycli has Fargo. Banner, and again, just to show how unique these lists are, has the Austin Powers sequel, Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me. And then I have
which pisses me off. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, and then
Banner is all over the place.
I have what might be Cycli's number 1, which is the Muppet Christmas Carol as my number 55.
Wow. Okay.
It is up there.
So Nate, what's your number 55 of all time?
My number 55 is one that's a little more just personal because of who I am, and I like this so much, and that's why it's ranked so high on my list. But Tin Cup, the Kevin Costner golf great.
I actually thought this might be like top 40 for you.
Yeah, I'm actually looking back at this. I put this list together. It's what I did, but I'm kind of surprised but it fell where it fell. And I think we've said this before. I'm like kind of surprised, like going back, oh, this is where it fell, and compared to like other movies, not just this one in general. But this one is like a quintessential golf movie. I know Happy Gilmore gets a lot of pub, and it's high on my list too, but it's fucking hilarious. And Caddyshack, which I'm not the biggest Caddyshack fan compared to other people who are really high on that one. But this is like a legit golf movie. There's some comedy in it. It's not like a straight up Happy Gilmore or anything like that, but you actually get into
I've had that fight with people. I don't think Tin Cup is trying to be funny.
No,
I watch it.
Not really. But from the opening line of this, what you had said, have you ever shot par with a 7-iron? Then he replies like, no, I never really thought to try. There's just like those small funny moments. Like I said, I wouldn't like say, oh, these are like the knee slapping comedy moments of like a comedy, but yeah, this actually gets into like, this is like a golfer's golf movie. You get into like the mindset of a golfer, which anyone who's like really into golf knows that most people are basket cases in their head all the time, which you see with Kevin Costner's character in this. So he's willing to kind of do anything he can to get back on track. But at the very soul of it, he's just living his dream, has a driving range out in the middle of nowhere and just lives in a trailer. But he loves golf, and that's what he's going to do. So, like I said, you get a lot of like the technical golf terms in this. You get a lot of technical golf talk in this as well. So, it's like I said, it's a golfer's golf movie, and it's up there for me.
Had to be on your list.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, that will do it for episode 204. Before we leave the people, now that we've crowned the DCOM movie champion, Cycly, what do you want to impart the people with, your words of wisdom before we let them go?
Hey, guys, if you ever just want to chill with your friends in the park and do a podcast, you should do it. It's great.
We're not in the park. We're in the no park looks like this.
What?
No.
There are trees. We are outside.
This is a Greek pantheon that anyone has in their neighborhood.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, hang out with your bros outside and do a podcast. It's lovely.
In a moss-covered pavilion, which we all have access.
Yeah, I have no idea how we ended up in this place, but here we are.
If you're at home confused, Cycly, we're on Skype, and he hit some fucking setting, and now we're sitting in like a city council room outside in the Shire. It's like this moss-covered, stadium-seated, like outside theater. It's
can never go back. I'm addicted to this.
And now you're like below the counter.
Yeah, I don't know how this works.
Nate, what do you want to leave the people with for episode 204?
Let's see here. Use your blinker out there. I don't care if you. I honestly don't care if you speed. I speed a lot. But if you're going to be changing lanes a lot and speeding through people, I'm a pretty aggressive driver. But use your blinker. Let people know where you're going. Don't just cut in and out and be that BMW asshole that's raging all the way through traffic. So use that little stick on the left side of your steering wheel, please.
That's a great point. I can deal with aggressive driving if you communicate.
Yeah, just let me know what you're doing. Okay, cool. You're gonna fine. There you go.
All right, for the American hero Nate Thurman and our legal counsel Ronnie Cycly, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. We're also on IG there. If you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words, you can find us on Letterboxd, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We're also available at broforcesquad.com on our website. Till next time, we'll see you out there at the movies. I'll be, I'm Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to see you next week. I'll see you there.
Ooh, big one. Big one coming up.
Biggin'.